So let's get started. And first of all, welcome everyone. And we have, so this month we have 2 talks scheduled for our community meeting. And we're gonna go through those 2 talks first. And then I'm gonna give a, if we have time left, I'm gonna give a quick update of, what happened last month, what's going on with the community and all that. So, so of those 2 talks, as many of you probably know, one of the most important, I think, trends that happened in the WASM space is component model. So I think starting from bytecode lines, almost all the companies that are using WebAssembly are going that direction. And people keep asking us, what's a WasmEdge story for component model? And I'm very happy to say that we have a, I think we have a pretty good story. So, so in this community meeting, I asked Danny to come and to talk about the work that he has done with witc and our toolchain around the component model. So Danny, please. Yeah.
Okay, so let me start. So we know that if we define a function in another Watson instance or in a host, then it would not be easy to directly invoke that function because except int 33 or 64 list primitive type, most type is not shared in the different language because the different type system. And since the Watson target usually is the 32 bits and the runtime usually in the 60 bits. So even the same language can have the different layout and elements for the different target. And not even to say the different language. So when we define a function and in another module, directly invoke it would just destroy the program state. And to fill the gap, we using the witc. And the idea is that witc will generate program that fills the gap in this thing by looking at the .wit files. So we will write some definition in the wit files and then use
Danny,
right.
Do you have a PPT or
no?
Oh, okay. So I just want to make sure that you are not presenting from a PPT. Okay.
It's fine. I will later show an example just on the website. So.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
So the idea is that if we encoding the arguments and the returns, then we can get the data in different language, like using JSON or proto buffer, the general format. And that is for now we pick JSON because it's a very widely used format. And another problem is that why we develop witc if we already have wit by gen. So the biggest reason is that component model binary format is already used in the Watson time and the wit by gen. So to support that is a huge impact, and hence we end up didn't directly using it. So let me start a screen share to, let me see. Oh, wait. I have the, oh, sorry. I have to click and to get a permission for, sorry. Okay. So this is an example to show how does it looks like. So this is a wit file. So as you can see, we can define our resources, and there has a related member functions in the definition. And we also can define some higher level kind like the variant. So it's just like a ADT in the Haskell or the enum in the Rust. So we have a different cases, and it has some product in it. Okay, and to implement it, we in Rust we can use macro, so it would directly invoke the compiler to generate code for us. So this at here we define it as a import the with definition, and then it would invoke the code generator and makes every polyfill there. And at here, we can see that you can use the function to, and then wrap it in a struct and its methods. And in the provide side, we can see that we have to manage the resources instance by somewhere. And the real definition in the here is an interesting translation, that is if it is a static function, then it would be directly convert to a function and suffix with a type name, with a resources type name. And at here the point is allocate a store and returns the assets handle, and it's just a number here. And the different other situation, we would have a special insert called the handle here. So using the handle, then we look up in the store, then we can operate that resources. So using that we can define the implementation for the witc we're trying to export here. So I guess that is the whole talk.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Danny. So any questions?
I have a question. Hey, do you know what's the kind of like the versioning mechanism? Say you want to change the signature of a method on a resource, or maybe the name of something. Like, is there something built into it?
Mm-hmm. So for now, that is not in the spec of the component model, but of course for realistic usage, we would have to consider that in the end, I guess.
Yeah, so it's left to the host and the guest to figure out the versioning strategy right now.
For now, that is the limit.
Okay.
So you cannot say how to support that in like a version range. That is not yet be done.
Makes sense. I have another question if no one's going.
Yeah, please.
Do you have a sense of the timeline for the component model to be finalized? Because looking at the proposals right now is still in phase 1, which is document yet, not available yet.
The finalized probably would take more time than you guessed. So the situation is in this year we will have a preview 2 according to component models spec people. And The problem to push into phase 2 is that we don't have second runtime really fully support component model. So even us is supporting component model, as you can see, is in a weird way. So we do not actually support the binary format, but using the purely cogent. And the binary format is currently seems like a requirement that component model people want. But yep. I'm still researching. So if future we can actually don't have to do that, then probably we can have the progress faster.
Yeah. So my understanding is that the spec should be ready by this summer. Where you define summer. But then the implementation will take longer because some of the proposals in the because component model has multiple proposals and some of them are still in phase 1, I think. And like Danny said, one of the major issue is tooling. So they have WasmTime has witc, which is fairly close tied with the Rust ecosystem at least. And so so what we had is witc, like Danny has just described. So that is written in Haskell, so it works well, better with our runtime. So at this moment, all those I think people who have components like I think most noticeably Microsoft DS Lab has their slide components, and all those can work both with witc and also with witc. So so I would say witc works, but it's not the way that's the final spec wants it to work. Like Danny said, there's an intermediate step that is generating a new binary format, which at this moment we are skipping. Which as far as we can tell, the existing components, at least the slide component, still works. But okay, so but I think eventually I think we need to implement the binary format somehow. So
yep, makes sense.
Oh, another interesting thing is like, for example, Wasm Cloud using component model, but they also use their own data exchanging, not the full component model have now. So it seems they need asynchronous. So the situation here is quite complicated.
Yeah. So that's but I think from our point of view, component model is actually okay. Yeah. So from our point of view, component model is actually more useful in other ways as well, because one of perhaps we can talk a little bit about this at the end, because one of the most interesting things that we did in 0.12 is the new plugin model for WasmEdge. So that allows people to write host functions and plugins for WasmEdge in a more consistent way. And the vit file and the component model can be used to describe those components. This is something we're actually we're exploring, to see if the same tooling can be used to generate, SDKs for WasmEdge plugins. So hopefully those use cases would come earlier than, say, the official release of a component model. So what I'm trying to say is component model is not something that's that is like, say, half a year in the future, at least half a year in the future, and we're just waiting for it to happen. That's not. We are trying to work, and incorporate that, especially the tooling, with other features that we're actively developing. So yeah, that's. But as far as the spec is concerned, I think we are still, a month or two away from what they would call a complete spec, and then still have some time for both WasmTime and us to provide a complete implementation. Yeah.
Makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. So any other questions about component model before we move on to the next talk? Okay, so if you guys have additional questions, we can you're welcome to do that at the end of the meeting as well.